Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Monday Night Raw. I'm today down with the Women's World Champion, Becky Lynch, here in Orlando, Florida. You know what I love about this business? The predictability. Every few months, some new flair of the month shows up talking big, thinking they're going to take my spot. And then they step into my ring, and I break their damn pride in half. Now the next brave soul and Stephanie Valkyrie. Oh yeah, Miss International Superstar, the technical genius, the woman everyone online can't shut up about. I see the tweets, I see the hype. She's different. Becky, she's special. Becky, she's going to be the one to beat you. Let me stop you right there. She's not special. She's not different. She's just next. Because here's the truth, sweetheart. You may have made a name for yourself over the world, but this ring right here, this is my world. This is where the lights are the brightest, and I shine the hardest. And when the bell rings at Money in the Bank, your fancy little counters, your holds, your submissions, they won't mean a damn thing, because I'm not coming to wrestle you, Stephanie. I'm coming to hurt you. You don't get it yet, do you? You don't just fight Becky Lynch. You survive her. Ask Charlotte. Ask Rhea. Ask Bayley. Hell, ask everyone. Anyone that's ever thought they were good enough to take this title off me. They're all still picking my boot marks out of their ribs. And on Money in the Bank, when I drop your overhyped ass on your head and the referee counts 1, 2, 3, the world's gonna see what I already know. That Stephanie Valkyrie ain't the future. She's just another stepping stone in the legacy of the man. And I am the GOAT, the greatest of all time. And you're just the next poor fool who thought she could rewrite history. Welcome to the big leagues, kid. And when it's all said and done, you'll wish you'll never step in the ring with big-time Becks. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a way to kick off Raw. The man, Becky Lynch, with some choice words for a challenger in just 2 weeks away. They're just 2 weeks away from Money in the Bank in Paris, France. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our first match of the night, which is a men's Money in the Bank qualifier match. Here on Monday Night Raw in Orlando, Florida.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall. Making his way to the ring from Los Angeles, California, weighing in at 241 pounds, L.A.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, last week on Raw in Toronto, we saw Drew McIntyre advance to Money in the Bank as he defeated Sheamus. But tonight, will LA Knight join him, or will AJ Styles join him in just 2 weeks, live in Paris, France, for Money in the Bank? We'll find out, ladies and gentlemen, right here on Raw, right here in Toronto, here on Monday Night Raw in Orlando, Florida, right here on Netflix. And here comes the phenomenal AJ Styles.
And his opponent from Gainesville, Georgia, weighing in at 218 pounds, the phenomenal AJ Styles.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome ringside to Monday Night Raw, live on Netflix. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what we saw last week, the brutal attack from the Beast Brock Lesnar to Mark Henry. And I'm getting word tonight Mark Henry is not here tonight in Orlando. But Mark Henry is on the men's right now after the brutal attack by the Beast Brock Lesnar last week on Raw. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Money in the Bank. What a bank qualified after AJ Styles, LA Knight, who will join Drew McIntyre in Paris, France. Here we go, our first match of the night here in Orlando, Florida. AJ Styles and the megastar LA Knight. Here on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. LA Knight and AJ Styles, both men want it tonight. Both men want to be the next man to qualify for the Money in the Bank ladder match. For the Money in the Bank ladder match in just 2 weeks. Live in just 3 weeks. And just 3 weeks away, we are officially on the road to Money in the Bank in Paris, France. In Paris, France, ladies and gentlemen. Live in Paris, AJ Styles, LA Knight. Here on Monday Raw to kick off the night. Kick off Raw tonight here in Orlando, Florida. In Orlando, Florida, ladies and gentlemen, LA Knight versus the phenomenal AJ Styles. Here tonight in Toronto, tonight in Orlando, Florida. Tonight in Orlando, Florida. Live tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But as we heard from the man, Becky Lynch, she does not like stepping back here. She says she will beat her in 2 weeks, live. In a few weeks, live in Money in the Bank, at Money in the Bank in Paris, France. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. AJ Styles versus LA Knight. Winner will go on, will join Drew McIntyre in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Money in the Bank ladder match is Drew McIntyre, who we know is in that match, who defeated Sheamus, last week. Defeated Sheamus last week on Raw. The Sheamus last week on Monday Night Raw. After the Claymore. After the Claymore from the ropes. Now the Megastar LA Knight. Ready for the Megastar elbow here. LA Knight. Down goes AJ Styles. Styles down by LA Knight. 1, 2. Kick out 2 by the Phenomenal One. The Phenomenal One, AJ Styles versus LA Knight. Monday Night Raw action here on Netflix, ladies and gentlemen, here in Orlando, Florida. Here streaming live here in Orlando. Our first match of the night is a men's Money in the Bank qualifier. AJ Styles, LA Knight, who will join Drew McIntyre in Paris, France. At Money in the Bank. At Money in the Bank. AJ Styles. LA Knight telling the crowd what time it is. LA Knight, yeah. The BFT. Blunt Force Trauma 1, 2. Kick out 2 by the Phenomenal One. By the Phenomenal One. Styles at LA Knight. One-on-one action here, ladies and gentlemen. On Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Here we go. AJ Styles lays out LA Knight. Knight is down. Here on Monday Night Raw. 1, 2. Kill 2 by Knight. But ladies and gentlemen, we start on talking about what we saw last week about to Charles Robinson, who got F5 from the Beast Brock Lesnar last week. The F5 for the Beast Brock Lesnar last week on Raw. Last week in Toronto. On Raw, but ladies and gentlemen, that's what it's all about tonight. Money in the Bank qualifying action. Who will be going to Paris, France to be joining Drew McIntyre in Paris, France in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. The Bank ladder match, ladies and gentlemen, streaming live in a few weeks. Live in just a few weeks will be Money in the Bank in Paris, France. No AJ Styles and LA Knight. Money in the Bank qualifier here on Monday Night Raw, ladies and gentlemen. AJ Styles, LA Knight. Who will go to Money in the Bank? Who's going to Money in the Bank? Who's going to Money in the Bank, ladies and gentlemen? AJ Styles or or LA Knight or the Megastore LA Knight here on Monday Night Raw on Netflix, ladies and gentlemen. LA Knight, AJ Styles. AJ is on Knight with the elbow with the knee drop here. Knight's down with the knee drop by AJ Styles, by the phenomenal one. And AJ Styles letting to put him away early on. AJ Styles for the phenomenal forearm. The phenomenal forearm connects easily. Down goes LA Knight. 1, 2, kick out 2 by LA Knight. The Megastar kick out 2 here on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. AJ Styles versus LA Knight, where this match will join Drew McIntyre at Money in the Bank in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. The men's Money in the Bank ladder match, ladies and gentlemen, in Paris, France. In Paris, France. Live on Netflix. Live right here on Netflix. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a match this is tonight. Money in the Bank qualified action. LA Knight versus the AJ Styles. LA Knight, the BFT yet again. Blunt force trauma to the phenomenal one. 1, 2, 2.5 kick out by the phenomenal one. By AJ Styles. AJ Styles and LA Knight. Money in the Bank qualifying action. Right here on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. On Netflix, AJ Styles versus LA Knight. Here on Monday Night Raw, ladies and gentlemen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Monday Night Raw action here on Netflix. Here we go. Here we go. Pop up. Styles. Clash. 1, 2, 3. And the Styles Clash. AJ Styles joins Drew McIntyre at Money in the Bank. What a matchup and what a win. What a win tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Here on Raw. What a fight. We all know now it's Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles have advanced to Money in the Bank. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Drew McIntyre advances, and so does AJ Styles. And he's now a part of Money in the Bank. Styles advances tonight in the Money in the Bank ladder match.
Here is your winner, the phenomenal AJ Styles.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a match for Styles. He advances tonight, and he is now one step closer to becoming Mr. Money in the Bank. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to tag team action here on Monday Night Raw. And here comes Fraxium. Here comes Fraxium. Axiom and Nathan Frazier here on Monday Night Raw.
The following contest is a tag team match scheduled for one fall, a combined weight of 336 pounds, Axiom and Nathan Frazier.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Fraxium here in action live on Raw as they go one another tag action. It is the the War Raiders live on Raw in tag team action. We all know the brand split is no more, but here we go. And it's time for a war. And here comes Eric Ivar, the War Raiders.
And their opponents at a combined weight of 552 pounds, Ivar and Eric, the War Raiders.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar, here tonight on Monday Night Raw, tag team action, as we saw last week on Raw. The Morrison Machine Guns defeated DIY. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to find out, as this is a tag team tournament, to determine who will face the Usos at Money in the Bank for the World Tag Team Championships. We only have one match, but ladies and gentlemen, we're going to find out who will face the Morrison Machine Guns next week on Raw, next week on Monday Night Raw, next week on Raw. With the winner of that match, we'll go on to Paris, France, and face the Usos. And face the Usos, who will be, ladies and gentlemen, who will face the Morrison Machine Guns next week on Raw, next week on Monday Night Raw. Here we go, Axiom and Eric of the War Raiders here on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. The War Raiders, Eric and Ivar, or what everyone used to call them, Hanson and Rowe. Hanson and Rowe. Here on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Eric and Ivar, the War Raiders, and here comes Fraxium with a punch in the face by Axiom here, and Axiom has shown why he is one of the best in the business. And we all know they were part of NXT, which was disbanded. We did hear Sarah Man announce that it was disbanded. But now we'll see what happens here live tonight. Now we'll see what happens when when the two teams show what they have and what they want to show here tonight on Raw. And NXT Tag Team making their first debut here on Raw, their first time here tonight on Raw is in this matchup. It is the War Raiders. It's Eric and Ivar, the War Raiders. Here on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. And a beat down there, a punch in the face. And Eric and Ivar, the War Raiders, in control right now on Raw. And here we go. Folks. Here comes Nathan Frazier. Who, ladies and gentlemen, who, if you don't know, if you don't know this, he was trained by none other than our World Heavyweight Champion, Seth freakin Rollins. The World Heavyweight Champion, Seth freakin Rollins. And here we go. Looks like we're tagged here. Yes, we are. And a tag is in. Here we go. Here comes Ivar of the War Raiders. It's Ivar. Big man Ivar here tonight on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. And Ivar now attacking Nathan Frazier, who in my opinion should be one of the best we have here on Monday Night Raw in the WWE. And we all know he trained with Seth freaking Rollins. Where he trained in Rollins' gym, trained in Rollins' wrestling gym, wrestling academy. But now, he's here on Monday Night Raw, fighting here in tag team action. In tag action here on Monday Night Raw tonight, on Netflix. But ladies and gentlemen, big fight field tonight, where this match will go on to face the Morrison Machine Guns. Next week on Raw. Next week on Monday Night Raw. Raw will face the Usos Whoever wins tonight will go on to next weekend and face the Morrissey Machine Guns. Face the Morrissey Machine Guns. Live on Raw. Live on Monday Night Raw. Whether that match will go on to Paris, France, and will face the Usos for the World Tag Team Championships. And here comes Axiom. And Axiom again is in the ring. And here comes Axiom. Axiom here on Monday Night Raw. First time seeing Axiom here in WWE. Here tonight on Monday Night Raw since NXT was disbanded. NXT was disbanded. But ladies and gentlemen, NXT is no more. But Superstar from NXT can appear on Raw. So do Superstar from SmackDown, which SmackDown was also discontinued. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Axiom here on Monday Night Raw. Go right after it. Here we go. I don't think he notices the tag. Yes, he doesn't. And here we go. And here comes Eric of the War Raiders. And Eric of the War Raiders here on Monday Night Raw on Netflix here, folks. Busted him open. He's busted open. He is busted open. Well, the War Raiders. It's time for a war. Time to pillage. Here on Monday Night Raw, the War Raiders are ready to put this away. And the War Raiders here, look for the tag team moves. Here's the War Raiders. Eric and Ivar, the War Raiders. And the War Raiders laying out the beatdown to Axiom here on Raw. And the War Raiders are going to next week face the Morrissey Machine Guns next week on Raw. What a matchup here, ladies and gentlemen. What a win for the War Raiders here on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. In tag team action here tonight in Orlando, Florida. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a fight here. The Morrissey Machine Guns will have a big challenge on their hands next week on Raw.
Here are your winners, Ivar and Eric, the War Raiders.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the War Raiders will take on the Morrissey Machine Guns next week on Raw. There's going to be a hard fight for the Morrissey Machine Guns next week on Raw. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a fight. We'll face live Valkyria at Money in the Bank. As here comes the role model, Bailey.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall, making her way to the ring from San Jose, California, Bailey!
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a bit wrong here. This is a Money in the Bank qualifying action. I was getting word this is a Money in the Bank qualifying action, not the match. We'll face that match takes place later on tonight between Alexa Bliss and Chelsea Green. I just forgot that. I didn't see it on my notes for the show tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, what if I will be joining Tiffany Stratton at Money in the Bank in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match? Will be Bailey, will be the returning Shayna Baszler. What if I live on Monday Night Raw here tonight? And here comes the submission magician, Shayna Baszler.
And her opponent from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, the Queen of Space, Shayna Baszler.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Shayna Baszler made her way to the ring tonight. For action, we haven't seen Shayna Baszler for months. But Shayna Baszler is here tonight. And actually, just Bailey, with a winner, will go on to Money in the Bank and will join Tiffany Stratton in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. The women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Who will it be? What a final, ladies and gentlemen. Who will be going to Money in the Bank here tonight? Will be Bailey or will be Shayna Baszler? We're going to follow live right now, right here, right now on Monday Night Raw. Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Money in the Bank, Women's Money in the Bank qualifying action here on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. And here we go. Bailey versus Shayna Baszler, the submission magician, Shayna Baszler. Well, Shayna Baszler hasn't been in the ring for a while, but now Bailey's here in action. Bailey's always been in the ring here on Monday Night Raw. Bailey tonight in action, and Shayna Baszler will go on to Money in the Bank, who will join Tiffany Stratton in the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, which we all know whoever wins that briefcase will be eligible, will have an opportunity to cash in on the Women's World Champion Becky Lynch or Stephanie Valkyrie at Money in the Bank, which we all know Stephanie Valkyrie will be facing the man Becky Lynch at Money in the Bank in Paris, France, and just a few weeks away, But ladies and gentlemen, big matchup here. Who will be going to Money in the Bank tonight? Who will be going to Money in the Bank? We also know that Brock Lesnar isn't here tonight. Brock Lesnar not in the building tonight. That's what we saw last week. Brock Lesnar has been fined for attacking with his hands on our official and hands on Charles Robinson last week. This week on Raw. He's not here this week. Brock Lesnar not here this week on Raw. But Brock Lesnar will be on Raw next week. We'll be on Monday Raw next week in the Money in the Bank qualifying matchup. The Money in the Bank qualifier. On Raw next week. On Raw next week on Monday Night Raw. We got Netflix. And Shayna Baszler has Bailey where she wants her early on. Here's Shayna. And Baszler. Down goes Shayna. Goes Bailey. And Shayna. Corner fleet of clutch is locked in. Shayna Baszler. Let her make strong work of Bailey. And she does. Shayna Baszler is going to Money in the Bank. Well, Shayna Baszler is heading to Money in the Bank. Joins Tiffany Stratton at Money in the Bank in a quick match tonight. Between via clutch, and Bailey had to tap out. And Bailey was locked in, and Bailey had to tap out.
Here's your winner, the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Shayna Baszler wins tonight by the Fiend making Bailey tap out here. But what does this mean? What does this mean for the... We all know now Stratton and Baszler in the Women's Money in the Bank War match. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to find who will face Braun Breaker at Money in the Bank for the Intercontinental Championship. And here comes Aleister Black, the Dangerous Man, Aleister Black. He's here on Monday Night Raw, and he's here in Orlando. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Aleister Black here at Money in the Bank qualifying here tonight. The winner will face Braun Breaker at Money in the Bank for the Intercontinental Championship. Intercontinental Championship. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we don't know who will it be. Like we all know, we're going to see Aleister Black take on Damian Priest here on Monday Night Raw. The winner will go on to Money in the Bank to face Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship, the IC title, Intercontinental Championship in Paris, France. And just 2 weeks away. Just 3 weeks away. We're just officially 3 weeks away, ladies and gentlemen. Officially 2 weeks away from Money in the Bank. Streaming live on Netflix. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to find out who will face. We're going to find out, ladies and gentlemen, right now, who will go on and face. Who will go on tonight and go on and face Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. Will be Aleister Black, or will be Damian Priest. We're going to find out live on Monday Night Raw right here on Netflix. And here comes the punishment. Here comes Damian Priest.
And his opponent from New York City, weighing in at 249 pounds, Damian Priest.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Damian Priest, the dangerous man, Damian Priest. He was part of the Judgment Day with Rhea Ripley and Dirty Dom Mysterio. And also Finn Balor, but Balor turned his back on him. So did Dirty Dom, and so did everyone else. But now we all know now that him and Rhea Ripley are best friends, were tag team partners, but now they are going their several ways, and now they're both on their way, they're both locked in on the road to Money in the Bank. Well, Rhea Ripley lost her match last week against Invaluable, and will not be going to the match to face Becky Lynch. But I'm just getting word now that next week on Raw, she will get an opportunity to head to Money in the Bank, though. And she will take on the Queen, Charlotte Flair. Take on the Queen, take on someone next week. Take on a woman next week on Raw. Don't know who it will be, but we're going to find out next week on Monday Night Raw, ladies and gentlemen. Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Monday Night Raw action, where this match will go on to Money in the Bank and face Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. Oh no, title. Aleister Black and Damian Priest here on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. On Netflix, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Aleister Black, Damian Priest. Monday Night Raw action right here on Netflix. In Orlando, Florida. Here in Orlando, Florida, ladies and gentlemen. We still don't know who will happen, ladies and gentlemen, on the road to Money in the Bank. But we do know now that there will be AJ Styles has qualified. And so has AJ Styles qualifies for Money in the Bank tonight. Qualified for Money in the Bank tonight. So he has joined Drew McIntyre in Money in the Bank in the men's Money in the Bank Live match. We also found out that Shayna Baszler has joined Tiffany Stratton at Money in the Bank and the women's Money in the Bank Live match. Women's Money in the Bank Live match in 2 weeks, live in Paris, France. Live in Paris, France. Live right here on Netflix. You're on Netflix. Now here we go. Damian Priest versus Aleister Black on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. With this match, we'll go on to face Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship at Money in the Bank. Now here we go. Damian Priest staying laid out here by Aleister Black here tonight on Monday Night Raw. And Aleister Black and Damian Priest. Who wants it more? Who will go to Money in the Bank to face off against Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship? And we'll find out now who wants it more. Who wants that match? Who wants to go to Paris, France and compete and become and face Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship for the IC title in Paris, France? Damian Priest was Aleister Black here on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. And a knee. The knee. Right away the knee. Right away that knee. And we know what's coming. This is it. Here we go. Black Mass. And the Black Mass. Down goes Damian Priest. Aleister Black faces Braun Breaker at Money in the Bank. What a win here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, for Aleister Black. As he is now says he is on his way to Paris, France, and will face Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship, the IC title. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a match this is going to be, ladies and gentlemen. But what a night it's been so far, ladies and gentlemen, tonight here on Monday Night Raw. But still to come will be our main event. And we're going to see here from the visionary, the World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins, after what we found last week, that he will face CM Punk at Money in the Bank for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Here is your winner, Aleister Black.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Aleister Black stands tall tonight on Raw. Aleister Black versus Braun Breaker at Money in the Bank for the Intercontinental Championship. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Monday Night Raw will face Lyra Valkyria at Money in the Bank. And here comes Chelsea Green. All by herself tonight, no Piper Niven. But she's by herself tonight in women's action.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall. Making her way to the ring from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, Chelsea Green.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Chelsea Green, who's ready tonight for action. I had a word with her earlier today. Chelsea Green told me earlier today here in Orlando that she wants to go to Money in the Bank. She wants to beat Lyra Valkyria, become the new Women's Intercontinental Champion. We all know Chelsea Green was the first ever United States Women's Champion. But now, she's here in action. Live next. Live here tonight in Orlando, Florida. And here comes Alexa Bliss, who I think is ready for a fight tonight. She's ready to be here, ready to prove she has what it takes to be number one contender.
And her opponent from Columbus, Ohio, Alexa Bliss.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Alexa Bliss coming out tonight with Lily tonight in one-on-one action. She has opportunity to head to Paris, France, and face Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Or will it be Chelsea Green that gets the victory tonight and goes to Paris, France to face Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship? We'll find out, ladies and gentlemen, in moments right here on Raw on Netflix. And here we go. Chelsea Green versus Alexa Bliss on Monday Night Raw on Netflix, where this match will go on to face Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship at Money in the Bank in Paris, France. And now Chelsea Green and Alexa Bliss. Money in the Bank. With a final, ladies and gentlemen, what happens and where this match will go on to Money in the Bank to face Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. But we also don't know who will be here tonight. We all know Chelsea Green wants this match, wants to become a champion. And also Alexa Bliss wants to become champion as well. But now Alexa Bliss and Chelsea Green here on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Chelsea Green already taking advantage early on. Chelsea Green of Alexa Bliss. Of the former women's champion, Alexa Bliss. A former United States women's champion is Alexa Bliss. She defeated Chelsea Green for the title. For that title. For that championship. And for that championship a few years ago, WrestleMania. A few years back at WrestleMania. And again, Chelsea Green and Alexa Bliss. But the winner will go, so then the winner of this match will go on to Money in the Bank and face Lyra Valkyria for the Intercontinental Championship. Intercontinental Championship. But ladies and gentlemen, big matchup still here tonight on Raw. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. Chelsea Green and Alexa Bliss. Here on Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Our next match of the night here. We've had an incredible show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Here on Netflix tonight, and Alexa Bliss and Chelsea Green on Monday Night Raw, live on Netflix tonight here in Orlando, Florida. Here in Orlando, Florida, Chelsea Green and Alexa Bliss on Monday Night Raw in Orlando, Florida. I'm excited to see what happens to these two women tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But I think we know what's coming. Alexa Bliss has where she wants her. Sister Abigail by Alexa Bliss. 1, 2, 3. Alexa Bliss is going to Paris, France. Well, Alexa Bliss is on her way. Will face Lyra Valkyria at Money in the Bank for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. What a fight and what a win for Alexa Bliss tonight with Sister Abigail for the 1, 2, 3.
Here is your winner, Alexa Bliss.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Alexa Bliss wins tonight. She is now on her way to Paris, France, and she will face Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. But ladies and gentlemen, come up next, we're going to hear for the World Heavyweight Champion, Seth freakin Rollins, live next on Raw. Please welcome the World Heavyweight Champion, Seth freakin Rollins. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Seth freakin Rollins is here tonight. He has some words about challengers CM Punk. Isn't this cute? The Prodigal Punk has returned. The voice of the voices, the so-called best in the world, CM Punk. Tell me, Punk. How many times are we going to do this dance, huh? How many times are you going to come crawling back to a company that's moved way the hell past you? You think these people missed you? Think I missed you? Oh, shut your mouths. You all chant his name because you live in the past, just like he does. Punk, you're still that bitter little boy with a chip on his shoulder, hiding behind your pipe bombs and your truths. But here's the thing, old man. The truths don't mean the damn thing in my era. I built this place. While you were sitting at home, nursing your ego and your little Twitter fingers. I bled for this ring. I broke my body for these people. Whether they booed me, cheered me, or sang my damn song. I became everything you claimed to be. I'm the standard. I'm the freaking messiah of Monday nights. And at Money in the Bank, when you step in the room with me, you're not fighting the corporate machine. You're not fighting some yes man. You're fighting a man who's been through every kind of hell this business can offer, and I came out laughing. You want to call yourself the best in the world, too, but I'm the best in every world. And when that bell rings, I'm just not going to beat you, punk. I'm going to break you. I'm going to drag your ass out of your nostalgia trip, and I'll show you the only thing that's real. The only thing that matters anymore is Seth. Anymore is Seth freakin Rollins. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Rollins with a little message for CM Punk. What does Punk have to say to Rollins? What Punk have to say that to the Rollins? Seth Rollins and CM Punk. They compete at Money in the Bank in 2 weeks. Live in Paris, France for the World Heavyweight Championship. Good night, ladies and gentlemen, from Orlando, Florida. Good night, we'll see you next